In the YouTube commentary system, video essays are represented by two separate yet equally important groups: the filmmakers, who provide the subject, and the shitposters, who make videos like this one. These are their stories. Big Fat Liar is a kid's revenge thriller that was allegedly made in 2002, starring Frankie Muniz before he became a race car, and Paul Giamatti for some reason. Now I realised that I was supposed to make that Cats video, which I will get to at some point, trust me, but I thought I'd take a slight detour because that video is going to be a beefy boy. And amazingly enough, I actually remember really loving this movie as a kid, and I watched it over and over again with my brother on VHS. But like most things from my childhood, I seem to have buried the memory of this movie deep down where it can't hurt me. So lo and behold, when I was in a drunken stupor with my brother the other week, we found this random shitey kids movie from nearly 2 decades ago on Prime and thought, why not? I mean, there's no way this movie is going to be good, but at least it'll be good for a laugh, right? Well, if you're familiar with my channel at this point, you'll know that I don't make videos about random easy targets, and nostalgia plays a heavy role in what I do here. So it might shock you to learn that I actually kind of like this movie. It's not a masterpiece or anything, I wouldn't even call it particularly unique or special, but I think it's interesting in its own right, and I kind of just want to justify all that wasted time I spent as a kid when I could have been off having friends or similar weak-ass shit. And also, it's far less aggravating to talk about than that other movie, so f*** it, here we go. So Frankie Muniz plays Jason, who's a smarmy little shit who sucks at life and lies about everything because he's dirt. He gets bullied by a gang of 20-year-olds on the way to school, including Taron Killam? Wow, okay. The bullies take his skateboard and he's late to school, oh no, but he's only late to school because a teacher apparently locks him out when the bell rings? Wow, what a dick. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think that's how school works. Anyway, he gets scolded for being dirt by his teacher who is— wait, that's Sandra Oh? Oh my god, what? He lies to her about why he was late to school and why he's such a failure, and doesn't tell her that the other teacher literally refused to let him in the school, but he gets caught anyway, oh no. He has to rush out a paper in like 2 hours, otherwise he'll fail the class, but unfortunately on the way to hand in the paper, he's hit by a car and dies. In the car is Paul Giamatti as movie producer Marty Wolf, who acts like a giant gaping anus to a literal child and steals Jason's paper because he too is dirt. Get it? He's a wolf and Jason's surname is Shepherd. It's dealing with doubles. Very Lynchian if you ask me. Now clearly the setup is kinda contrived and it's obvious that no one involved is taking this too seriously, but ultimately this doesn't bother me as much as other trashier kids movies would. For me, I'll only complain about performances or writing if it's clear that no one cared about the end product because it's for kids. Whereas a little bit of scenery chewing isn't an issue in a kids movie because being silly for the sake of comedy isn't inherently a problem if the tone fits and the purpose is clear. Is that Urkel? Oh my god, what's happening? Speaking of purpose, soon after Jason gets sent to summer school for being hit by a car, and he discovers that Paul Giamatti has begun developing his story into a film. Now get ready for some to-be-expected stretching, because I'm about to justify how this dumb kid's bullshit is almost, kind of, social commentary on the Hollywood system. I find it pretty hilarious that this is a film about a Hollywood hotshot who's so unoriginal, he steals a story written by a 10-year-old and it becomes the most anticipated movie ever of all time. Also, director Sean Levy says in the behind-the-scenes material that the duality of man was an intentional addition.
Wolf is Jason's cautionary tale. The movie is very much about Jason going up against his worst version of himself.
In a small way, the movie's kind of saying that most successful movies are so simple that a literal child could have written it, and that the system is tainted with toxic behavior because of white male hubris. Big fat liar, more like big fat satire. Give me that soy, daddy! So then Jason and his best buddy Amanda go to Hollywood so Jason can prove his dad that he's not lying dirt. Wait, Donald Faison too? Jesus! Is this gonna keep happening? They go to Universal Studios because I guess it's cheaper to film at the theme park the studio already owned than build a set or hire a location. I'm not gonna complain too much because I guess it is relevant, and it's actually kinda neat to watch as a kid. In the next scene, Paul amps up the supervillain vibes by basically telling Jason to f*** off and burning his story with a comically long cigar. Get it? It's a metaphor for how his dick is longer than your story, idiot. And to be honest, it's pretty unreasonable that Paul destroys the only evidence of his theft because a child asks him to call his dad and admit what he did. Like, he wasn't asking for a credit or anything, he just wants his dad to believe him, Jesus. But again, to be fair, he's a producer in Hollywood, he deserves all the shit he's gonna get even if he didn't do it. So then Jason and Amanda go to the prop store to plan their revenge. Now I recall this being like my favourite part of the whole movie for how amazing and chaotic this place seems, and since then I've actually been to the prop store at the Warner Brothers lot in Burbank, and I can confirm that it is as nuts as this. And these scenes feature a lot of actual props from actual Universal movies, which I guess they just had lying around. They even managed to squeeze in a wicked 2000s montage sequence because, I don't know, we gotta get in 90 minutes somehow.
Triple 6, 5, 4, atomic penetration, rapid fire through your skull. Shot it on, we're taking it back to the days of trying to lose control. Target in a blaze of fire, racing through my bones. Oh shit, I'm feeling it. Tachyon!
So then Jason and Amanda, I'm calling her Amanda because I don't remember her character's name and I refuse to check, begin to plot their revenge with the help of Donald Faison. See, Paul Giamatti is having trouble approving a budget for the movie because of a dumb chicken movie he made with Urkel, and really needs to convince his boss that the investment is worth it, and it would be really inconvenient if— what the f***? It's John! From that other video I made! Oh my god! Honestly, seeing my baby boy John Cho was such a pleasant surprise, made even more pleasant by how funny he is in this scene, despite how little screen time he gets. Oh John, you sweetheart. We then get to see how that white male hubris affects his career, especially his relationship with his assistant, and is that TV legend Lee Majors? Okay, I know I'm doing this joke a lot, but come on, it's weird how many famous people just show up for 5 minutes in this movie. Anyway, the Dirt Brigade begin hardcore pranking Paul by dyeing him blue, hacking his car, and sending him to a birthday party to be brutally assaulted. Wow, Watchmen looks great. They then attempt to blackmail him into calling Jason's dad, and all I'm wondering is the legality of all of this. Oh well, hasn't stopped Hollywood before. And after watching this scene, I'm actually kind of impressed with the dedication that Paul Giamatti gave to this performance. Not only is his scenery chewing appropriate, but the fact that he stays blue for a decent chunk of this movie means either A, he wasn't just phoning it in, or B, cocaine is not as cheap as it used to be. Actually, in retrospect, most of the performances, while goofy as f***, are endlessly charismatic and likable. Call me crazy, but I never found myself wanting to die due to any specific performance, which I cannot say for most kids movies, and yes, that is how I delineate quality between kids films. From here, the movie kind of plods along as it would be expected to, second act low point, blah blah blah, but culminates in an Avengers-style team-up featuring everyone whomst Paul has alienated throughout the film, finally torturing a confession out of him.
広がる闇の中交し合って革命の次に愛したゆえに芽生えた悪の山これから先訪れるであろう全てを誰にも邪魔させるわけにはいかないから
I'm actually kind of surprised how elaborate this sequence is considering what we're watching here. Like, they don't really spare any expense. This is kind of cool, actually, not even joking. And then finally in comes none other than John Sex Machine Cho to give Paul the final blow and a strangely prophetic comment on the laziness of Hollywood directors.
The only way to shoot this scene is from 12 different camera angles with birds flying around.
The film ends with Paul being fired from his job, his assistant being promoted to his role, and Donald Faison getting the lead role in the movie, with Jason getting his credit and his dad's approval. And all it cost was a man's entire career. Now, I understand that this movie doesn't look great from the outset.
Oh, that's it. Oh, one more. Oh, that's it.
I got big feet.
I wouldn't even hasten to say that it's particularly good. But for a dumb distraction for little children, you know what it is? Harmless. And there are actually some aspects of the script that seem as if the commentary on Hollywood wasn't just a joke for the adults thing, and that this was kind of a way of explaining how this system works to kids, and what kind of work ethic you should aspire to. And in the end, this movie ends with the white male pig fired, and the movie directed by an Asian American, written and produced by a woman, and starring an African American. 2002 promoting progressive standards in filmmaking. Nice. Could use work on some choice language here and there, though, just saying.
Pedal to the metal, Ricky Retardo! Who's the 8.0, you spaz?
Plus, there were some kind of interesting filming choices, such as short lens extreme close-ups and fisheye lenses that give certain sequences an almost Terry Gilliam vibe, which I do unironically love. I honestly think the dedication Shawn Levy gives to every film he works on, regardless of quality, is something I genuinely admire in him. In terms of legacy, this film has been widely regarded as technically existing, and further evidence that the film critic elite don't know Kino when they see it. Weirdly enough, I discovered a pseudo-sequel to this film made in 2017 while I was researching this video, and after further inspection, I guess it's actually a remake, I think? I mean, it's called Bigger, Fatter, Liar, but the characters have different names, and the Paul Giamatti stand-in is a video game exec, and he steals the paper and turns it into a video game? That seems way more labor-intensive than just turning a short story into a movie script. Did they do that to seem more modern? Because video games existed in 2002, and it's not like movies are a dated concept. I suppose it's so it wouldn't seem like a rip-off, but then why call it a sequel if it has nothing to do with the original? Were they trying to capitalize on the success of Big Fat Liar? Because why wait 15 years to do so? Anyway, forget about that trash. This movie will always hold a special place in my heart, and I genuinely think it's serviceable entertainment for children. So yeah, thumbs up from me probably. Much like my previous videos, there's a lot of stuff I left out purely because I don't want to sour the experience for anyone interested in watching, and it's definitely more guilty pleasure than those other two films, but still worth it in my books. Wonder what this writer has done since the— oh no. Is that the sex perv guy from Nickelodeon? Oh, god damn it.